Hey, Joni, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Where are you calling in from?
Calling in from sunny Seattle, Washington. Actually, no, it's raining today, but
Oh,
it's a great.
like, is that oxymoron? Like, I thought that wasn't okay.
No, we like to joke about that, but it's a great place to be, to start a company, and to raise my kids. So yes, from Seattle, Washington.
Cool. Is there a lot of femtech in Seattle, or do you know of other femtech companies, women's health?
I do. There's a few. I think it's an emerging industry for sure. And yeah, I think it's growing, right? And I think, using your platform to help us all connect in ways I think is super important to help us build out this category. But yeah, there's a few of us
I
looming
think
around over here.
it's so interesting because I think a lot of industries have a hub, right? So like Houston is the energy hub and New York City is fashion and like LA is more consumer product goods. And people ask me, well, where's Femtech's hub? And I say, well, there isn't one. And actually, I think our hub is virtual because we've seen so much growth in the last year. And the last year, everything's been virtual. And I actually, I'm kind of don't want a one city to be all of Femtech. What do you think?
Oh no, I agree. I mean, it's not right, it's not a one city issue. It's not a one city, right, group of people. So I'd like to see it definitely see it across, and not just within the United States, international,
Yeah.
huge. But I think for us, connecting in cities and helping to collectively come together is where the power is going to be. So yes, I'd like to see everybody thinking about it and everybody headed in the femtech direction.
Yeah. It's almost like it speaks to how not niche Femtech is that we can't have a hub because it's just too broad. Well, anyways, let's kick it off our interview today with your background. Our listeners love to learn about, where our guests have come from. What did they study? Did they have a career before they got into Femtech? We have a lot of students that listen in. So tell us about your background.
Absolutely. Well, I've been in this industry for a while in terms of tech. I graduated from the University of Washington. My ultimate goal was to work in the White House. I wanted to be the communications director. So I started on my path of working in TV. Got hired actually in tech, working at Microsoft, doing promotional work for them, and really started my tech career. So, from there, I started working in investor relations. So I ended up using my marketing communication skills to help companies go public and to work and communicate their strategy and their story to Wall Street.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been complementary, but definitely I've done different things in my career. Where I'm at now, though, is since I've had children, or when I started that journey to have kids, right, things changed, right? It became personal. It became, now I'm responsible for somebody else. And so the research and what we do to enable us to optimize our fertility, to have healthy pregnancies, and now to have healthy children is a huge and scary and lonely and exciting path. And I think that there's so much that science has given us right now to help us have a better experience and to be more empowered in what our fertility journey looks like. So I think that's where my purpose and my passion is at this point in my career, is that I want to do something that makes a difference. And so, technology and enterprise software is fantastic, but I really feel like the power and our future of our health and our children's health lies in really capturing this new science.
That reminds me a lot of my career when I was a senior venture associate in Houston, Texas. And half of the deals I was reviewing were oil and gas or logistics, like blockchain, supply chain management. And I was like, first of all, I'm bored to tears. And second of all, like, I'm so glad that this is saving Exxon millions of dollars a year because of, whatever. But I don't feel, I'm not jumping out of bed in the morning excited for this, and then the healthcare ones I was way more excited about, but it was always the women's health ones that I was like, cancel my day. I'm going to be your mentor. Like, let's get this done. Like, you're working on really important stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's just so much opportunity. And I think it's an area that hasn't been innovated on I think it's the last category to be innovated on out of anything, right? It didn't take me very long to look at the market we're in and go, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's clean beauty and that's kind of that trend, but really looking at your health and really being mindful of what you put in your body and what you're asking your body to do.
Mhm.
It hasn't been innovated on. So that's what we're doing. That's our corner of the world. But I just think there's such a huge opportunity for us to innovate in women's health and to provide better outcomes.
That's a perfect segue. Tell us, how are you innovating? What is Beli?
So Belly is, we're really working to redefine nutritional science um, in terms of what we put in our bodies, what the quality is, how our bodies absorb it, and the science behind it. And so our first step is starting with reproductive health, right? The fertility market is like 26 billion and growing. Most of it is rooted in fear. Like, what will happen if, but I think there's so much we can do. And a woman's reproductive health is a very empowering part of our overall health. And I think there's a lot we can do to help nurture that, whether you're thinking about having children now or later, or maybe never, right? Our bodies are very different. Our cells rejuvenate every day, and what they are made from is what we consume. And so we're starting with reproductive health. We've got a line of fertility and prenatal vitamins based on the latest research. Super high quality, bioavailable, which means it's optimized to with the nutrients in the right forms that help your bodies absorb it in the best way. And we believe, based on science, based on that, we are trying to achieve and help you make the health, help you have the healthiest body you can to create a new little life.
Hmm. What I'm hearing a lot of talking about like the health of the woman and the health of the
Mhm.
baby, and not so much necessarily like we help you get pregnant. Are you classifying fertility as also like not necessarily, because there's this paradigm, right? So I'm like talking out loud with you right now. I'm just brainstorming. So fertility, I feel like we often say fertility is getting pregnant. But what I hear you saying is fertility is healthy pregnancy. Am I hearing that correctly?
It is, right? I think that fertility is a broad thing. I mean, most people come to us, right, because they're now thinking about getting pregnant. And so they're ready to get their bodies ready. And we're like, well, okay. But if you've had 10, 15 years of not being healthy, and then all of a sudden you're trying to get your body healthy in 1 month, okay, it's always a good time to start. But
Yeah.
we feel that you should be optimizing your nutrition and your throughout your entire reproductive years. And
Mm.
that means that your vitamins, because we're specifically doing vitamins right now, should be optimized to help you on that journey.
Yeah.
So I think the most ironic thing, though, is our first product we came out with was for men.
Oh,
Yeah, and let me tell you why.
yeah.
So for our first product, we have been in R&D for 2 years.
Okay.
Our first product launched in April of 2019, and we had set out to do a better prenatal multivitamin by stage for women.
Mhm.
And in all of our research and all of the people that we collaborated with on this multivitamin, guess what? Men are half the equation.
Mhm.
And nobody was addressing that, right? So to me, it's amazing that in 2021, or back then, 2018, 2017, women bear the psychological and physical burden of getting pregnant and staying pregnant.
Mhm.
And we know through science, this is not made up. This is science. It says men contribute half the DNA. Men, their sperm contains the blueprint to how the placenta develops. Most of it is recurrent miscarriage is due to the poor quality of the man's sperm. And so, our proposition is switch out your multivitamin and take something that's specially optimized to give you the best reproductive health to contribute what you need to contribute to the pregnancy equation. It's true, right? So, we're helping women by helping men, but I think it is kind of removing that burden of it's not all on her.
Yeah.
He needs to, it's an easy thing to do. He also needs to get his body healthy because it's the difference between conceiving, healthy pregnancy, and then the long-term health of the child.
Mhm.
So it was just a huge gaping void in the whole, fertility space. And it's resonated. I mean, it's done extremely well, and I'm super pleased, right? It's a harder proposition to target the men, but it's working and it's resonating. So finally, sorry, go ahead.
I have some questions about that. Can I ask you some?
Sure.
So do you target the men via the woman?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought my hypothesis was going to be. I thought the women would say, I've done, because we're really good at the research and figuring it out. And as my investor said, if my wife told me to stand on my head and drink a Diet Coke backwards, while juggling, I would do it. Right. But men are signing up. I'd say the majority of people who bought our product are men.
Awesome. Awesome. And that my other question was, is it also called a prenatal vitamin for men as well? Or is that just for females? So men have prenatal vitamins too.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. I guess I'm not sure what prenatal definition is, because I always, in my mind, it's a woman,
Yep. No, it takes two to make a baby, right? Yep. So his health, and if you even look at the stats, right? When you look at people who are unable to get pregnant after the normal time frame, 40% is due to the men, and then right, 40% women. So there is the science behind the fact that men do need to prepare their sperm, and the nutrients power how their sperm grows, right? Because sperm, right, matures over a 2 to 3 month period. There's different stages of growth. There's different nutrients to drive those different stages of growth. So even if you have, say, I've got enough sperm, well, there's a lot that goes into the quality of it that also determines how a woman conceives and if she actually stays pregnant.
Yep.
So that is a huge piece of the equation. So it's resonating really, really well. So in January, we did launch the women's prenatal, which we're super excited about. And in all of our research, right, again, it's just something that hasn't been innovated on. A lot of times it's a one size fits all. And we are all about what is the latest recommendations? What are the latest, what is science telling us our bodies need to help right in that process, whether it's optimizing your fertility or, having a healthy pregnancy, or there's something that I really, I think Beli will deep dive into later is the postpartum. Right. Nobody's really addressing it. But it's the difference between, how you feel and how you recover. And it's a different set of nutrients. It's a different set, and it can make the difference. It can, and nobody's really addressing it.
It's like, how many post-workout things do we have, right? So if you run a marathon, there's all of these regimens, supplements, food, all these things you need to do after you do a marathon. A woman births a human being from her vagina or her stomach, whatever, however she gets it out, right? And she goes home with all these stitches. She's depressed. There's huge. She's a new human. She's now a mom, right? She has a new title. And I have never heard of a supplement for that. And it's that's the post-marathon workup that we need. Right?
Oh, we do. Yeah. I mean, I read a study. It takes 10 years for a woman's body to recover from one pregnancy.
Oh my.
And I think once we send us home with our cute baby and our, and I've had 3, right? And our cute baby and their cute clothes, right? Then that's the end of the journey, but it's not. Our bodies need to recover. I mean, I had major issues breastfeeding, which brought me to, I feel like I'm a pretty strong woman. I was in tears every single day. So I think that, there's a lot more we can do for women's health on the journey versus just, that extends beyond getting pregnant and then during the right. The 9 months you're pregnant. So there's a lot, I think there's so much runway for us. We're just getting started, but I think that for a woman, whether or not you want to have a baby now or later, that reproductive health is a very empowering aspect of your overall health and one you should nurture every day.
100%. So doesn't sound like you come from a nutritionist background. Sounds like enterprise software. So how is the science getting brought in? How, do you have a badass scientific team, or tell me about that part?
I do have a badass scientific team, but it's been a journey. And let me tell you, it was a collaboration, right? We have nutritionists, we have fertility doctors, we have OBGYNs, we have pharmacists, we have scientists, we have chemists. our manufacturer is amazing, right? Because even once you get to the point where you have a formula, you want to know what's the right ingredients, where are they being sourced. I did not know that like 99% of vitamin C comes from China and it's GMO. Ours doesn't, by the way. So, right. But there's things that we've learned along the way, but it wasn't one person or one thing or one area of expertise. In fact, the medical doctors, and I'll be very general because it's not everybody, don't have nutritional backgrounds.
No. Yeah.
Right. And so they'll look at a vitamin and they'll say, oh, it's got folic acid. Here you go. And it's like, no. You know, most people can't absorb folic acid. You need folate and right, your methylated B vitamins. And so that knowledge comes from a variety of people. And so you cannot create this, you know, your vitamins with just one point of view. You need, it's been a collaboration and everybody's brought a very, very different set of data to, which is why it took 2 years to formulate this. And then finding the right manufacturer and finding the right nutrients and where you're going to source them and kind of bringing that, it is at the end of the day too, this kind of this clean vitamin movement, right? There was the clean beauty movement. And now you're ingesting things into your body and expecting to have a result. And if what you're putting in your body is not good, right? Either one thing, it's going to flush out, or another thing, your cells are going to hold on to it, which is not a good thing either. So, you know, so what we're trying to do is, you know, ultimately for Beli, it is about, you know, making sure what you put in your body is doing what you're intending it to do. Our first path is reproductive health, which is so important for women, but I could go on and on about how many, you know, for menopause, for postpartum, that we could really use this science to achieve women's health.
Absolutely. Do you think that supplements and vitamins should be regulated because of all the things you've discovered in terms of like where things are actually being sourced or what's in different things?
I mean, I have no problem with it, right? I mean,
We're like, I'm ready to check me out, FDA, no worries. Like
right. We don't make claims. Like you said, we're not here to tell you you're going to get pregnant if you use it, but we're saying we are trying to make your body the healthiest it can be to create a new little life. That's our purpose. We do what we can to be regulated, right? So our manufacturer is FDA registered. We manufacture under the good manufacturing processes. We, you know, do certificate of authenticities, right? We do what we can, but I think not having that regulation, not that I want to introduce a bunch of regulation, but not having that regulation, I think gives the market a really bad name.
Yeah.
When we're trying to do so much good, right? So, you know, some of the bad weeds get, you know, weeded out just naturally, but, you know, we're doing everything we can to also educate on, you know, so we put out research on how to read your vitamin label, or give us your label, we'll read it, or right, or why you should choose folate over folic acid. So a lot of what we're doing too is education.
Yeah. Well, that's once again, you're like literally softballing me for my next question. We did not practice this, y'all. Y'all know we do this on the fly. But I was going to ask you, like, so I feel very much in probably the general population where I'm like, supplements, it's about like vitamins that are good for you, period. You know, and like, I guess I have some scientific background in terms of like understanding like, oh, a vitamin, I know vitamin B was involved in this, magnesium is involved in that. So I can imagine taking this vitamin empowers the Krebs cycle and blah, blah, blah. But if you could, for our listeners who, you know, maybe they take vitamins every day, but they don't know why they do or for what they do. Can you give us a little insight? What is a supplement, and maybe Beli supplement? Like, what are some of the unique parts of that? And like, how are they useful for getting ready to be pregnant?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you are trying to create, and especially in the realm of reproductive, right? When you're trying to get pregnant, is that your body does need extra nutrients to get ready to support a pregnancy, and definitely when you're growing a little one.
Makes
And then
sense.
as we talked about, right? So it's just, you have to, like, you're not going to get all of that, all of those nutrients you need optimized in the forms you need them, just through your food alone. So let me give you one example. So for the first time, the USDA said you need 450 milligrams of choline in your prenatal.
Okay.
Choline is as important as folate for cognitive development in the baby. And if you do, or you can, or you choose to breastfeed, that choline, right, will help your baby's cognitive development. Super important. For you to get 450 milligrams of choline, you're eating 8 eggs a day, every day.
A lot of eggs.
Okay. So, I mean, we can talk about the food chain and kind of the degradation of that, right? In terms of does our food have the nutrients it needs based on where it's growing, the soil it's growing, how it gets to your market. But then, you know, when you are going through reproductive or your prenatal, it's just elevated needs in every area. From folate, right, to your B vitamins, to choline, which is a big one, right? So when we talk about nutritional science and how it really needs that innovation, it's not just here, let's take a normal multivitamin off the shelf. It is what is going to be optimized for the stage that I'm in my life. So, I mean, 90% of most people are deficient in one or more vitamins. I'm sure like everybody, well, especially in Seattle, we're all deficient in vitamin D, but that has, even vitamin D, if you're deficient in vitamin D, has a huge impact on fertility.
Wow.
Yep. So, you know, it's not just about, you know, it's, can you get all of your nutrients from your food? I would say that's a hard proposition, even if you're the best eater in the world. But that really heightens when you're pregnant and you're trying to get pregnant,
Yeah.
is that your body needs different nutrients optimized, right, for what your what science tells us that your body needs to create and sustain a life.
This may be too philosophical of a question, but like, how, like, aren't we just animals? Like, why do we need supplements to, you know, get this really right? If, you know, does the rest of the animal kingdom suffer with this too? Like all these miscarriages and can't get pregnant and stuff, or is that because of our civilization? We've kind of like quote unquote screwed ourselves, and now we need supplements in order to let natural processes occur.
Well, I can't speak specifically to the animal reproductive system myself. I can tell you based on what the research has told us in terms of what our bodies need to you know, for our egg quality, for our sperm quality, for the building blocks of our baby and their health. So it's just, the research is out there, and we have devoted a whole page of science on our website to explain that. Like, so every ingredient in Beli, and we'll hold this true through all of our products, is backed by research. And we're like, here, you know, go read it for yourself. But for us as humans, and what our bodies are telling us right now, is that we need certain nutrients, especially during the reproductive and prenatal and postnatal, to support our body in creating the new life.
This is really, it's so funny. All of the most successful femtech companies have the same three. I called it the femtech trifecta. Femtech trifecta. Great product, a lot of education, and a community. Do you guys have a community as well?
Yeah, we have a huge community.
Oh my
and you know what I love about it? And I love, I founded a company in 2011 called Good. It's GUUD, but it was helping consumers find and discover products that were good for them based on the attributes they cared about. Whether at the time, right, that was whether you want a good sunscreen, or you want gluten-free, or you want dairy-free, you know, whatever it was, those attributes weren't really tagged onto products as you were. They're better today, right? But I found through that whole community of working with women in particular, we do a lot of research. We are the major buyers for our family. Is that we do care what goes, you know, into our bodies. It's a very authentic community, right? So when we look at everybody who is part of the Beli community or who recommends Beli, it's authentic. You know, it's not somebody who's recommending Beli just because, you know, they may have a link and they get some money. It is authentic. We are helpful. We want to help other people. We want to share the research and what we found with others. And it's the most authentic, real community and helpful that I love being a part of. It makes me happy. And so we foster that, with Beli, but I think that's why I love what I do and why I'm in this space too, right? I relate to everybody because I'm a mom, I've done it. But it's the most authentic group of people I've ever met.
I love the Femtech community. We are just a bunch of collaborators that know the bigger mission here is like women's lives are on the line,
Yep.
So, and that there's plenty of innovation that's needed, and there's like plenty of consumers waiting, and like it's not about scarcity because it's an emerging market, which sounds insane, but it is. So you were mentioning before this like 8 eggs, right? To get all of that, the right supplements that you need for certain, what was the specific thing?
I'm sorry, what are you referring to?
Eggs.
For egg quality?
No, you said you have to like eat 8 eggs.
Oh, I'm sorry, for the choline.
Sorry, yes. I could imagine the eggs and the ovarian. Yeah. Choline. So, but on your website, I was checking it out. Very cool. It says it's vegan. So how do y'all do that?
Well, it's the ingredients we source, right? So it's not whole foods. So the ingredients we source, right, are vegan. We just feel it's healthier.
Yeah.
So like our D3, right? Most D3 is sourced from animals. Our D3 is vegan. So we just feel, right, it's healthier, free of allergens, free of gluten. It's made in the USA. It's vegan. We just feel that goes with what we're trying to create is just a higher quality, better for you product that you're ingesting into your body. Yeah.
What are some of the future goals for Beli?
Yeah. So I think, like I said, I think there's a long runway of what we want to do. And I think that there's a lot of products we can do in the nutrition space that can help women's health. We're looking at a number of different products, but if you think anything along the reproductive, fertility, prenatal, baby, kids, and then branching off from that is I think we've built a good foundation where we're going to stick to our principles of really innovating in this space, whether it takes the form of a vitamin or a supplement, or it takes the form of a powder, or it takes the form of whatever it may be. That's our direction, and it's all to improve women's health.
Oh my gosh, so awesome. Well, this has been so great. I have 2 last questions that our listeners really love. The first one is, if someone wanted to start a femtech company, because we do have a lot of aspiring founders listening, what's an area in women's health and wellness that you think still needs innovating?
Oh, that's a great question. Definitely this space. Well, I would say, like I talked about, postnatal, I think is a huge category that needs to be addressed in a big, meaningful way. I think the menopause area, I think is an area that still needs to be innovated on in a big, meaningful way. So that's my area of where I look, just because I have people asking us for different solutions. So, our area is all about nutritional science. And I just feel like those 2 areas are 2 that still need to be addressed in a big way. I did have an entrepreneur come to me recently who is looking at even the perimenopause phase, based on her own experience of, kind of that in-between phase, right? Where you're maybe not wanting to have children, but you're not in menopause. And there's different nutrients, right, that power our bodies at different stages of our life. It's not a one size fits all. And I think if you can meet those needs, and bring products to the market in those capacities, I think it's going to be very successful.
I love it. And our last question is, what do you think the femtech industry as a whole needs the most right now in order to be successful?
What it needs the most?
Yeah.
I don't struggle with this, but I think about this a lot, right? Femtech, to me, has been a nice wrapper around an industry that hasn't gotten enough credibility on its own, right? It's got its own set of criteria. It's got its own set of founders. And I still feel like there's a lot we can do to help define that criteria, because I think there's a lot of people that still try to put it into the boy bubble. And let me give you a specific example. And I don't know if we have enough time, but I think about this every single day. There's a prominent VC here in Seattle. who is now big in the Femtech space. Like, we're going Femtech, we're going all the way.
Okay.
And I just read an article, it was on a major TV program. And the advice was, be more like a man when you're presenting. Like, be boisterous. You have to roll in and act like you're going into the boys club because you're presenting to a group of men. And yeah, I get that. You know, I've worked on Wall Street. I get that. I mean, I could tell you story upon story about my experiences there. And I thought about it and I'm like, okay, there's a game we all play, right? When you go out to raise money, you're starting companies. I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to change at this point who I am. And I think Femtech gives us that platform to say we can be authentic to who we are without trying to change who we are. And we should be recognized and funded and supported because of who we are, not because we fit into the criteria of what, right? Going back to enterprise tech, an ad company would come in, right? I want to create and help be part of this industry that brings authenticity to women and who we are, and that we don't have to change to fit a category, that we're going to succeed, and we do succeed based on, right, the products and the solutions that we bring to market. I hosted an event at it was a VC office here, it was probably 3 years ago, called Why Investing in Women is a Smart Thing to Do. And the stats about, successful businesses run by women, we bring different values, we bring different ways of approaching things, we bring different skill sets, and we are successful. And I think Femtech gives us that platform, right, as a category, as an industry, and that credibility. So I don't want to fit into anybody else's mold. I think we have the opportunity to define who we are, what this means, and that we're creating authentic products and services for 50% of the world's population. So to me, it's so much bigger than what I'm doing with Beli. I think Beli fits into it in a really, really big, meaningful way. And I hope we can, right, contribute to the success of Femtech overall. That's my goal as a woman. But I just, I want to bring some authenticity to who we are as women to the table, and not trying to fit into this man's world.
Joni, yes, this is.
I just got on my soapbox, but I loved it. It felt really good.
She's on her box. Let her talk. Let the woman talk. I just finished a consulting call with a founder named Melanie out of Canada, and she's early stage. She's raising her first round, and I tell her, as I tell all of my founders I mentor and consult, unfortunately, it's a game, and I hate that the prize goes to the person who dances the best on stage. I'm sorry, but that's just the game, and we need to win it. And luckily I'm really good at that, the dancing on stage thing, the pitching thing. So I'm going to help you crack the code. We're going to get the money, but I really hope it changes. And, Femtech Focus, we're now launching our venture arm, Coyote Ventures. We are not, so far we have not asked any founder to pitch us. We have office hours. Let's have a meeting. Bring a cocktail, bring your coffee, let's have a meeting. I want to, meet your other people on your team. And it's not give us a presentation, dance. It's I think that is so rudimentary, male energy, the masculine gaze of success. And what I'm interested in is we're the scientists bringing real science. They may not be the best presenters, right? But they know their stuff. And I also love what you said about female founders being so successful, because 80% of Femtech companies are run by women, founded by women, usually solving their own problems, things they personally relate to. And what we're seeing, and I'm so excited as I'm fundraising for our venture fund, is, when we show the exits, female founders do more with less money. And, we have two quick examples. Is Modern Fertility just exited the other week, and they exited for $220 million, and they raised $22 million. That's a huge return on investment. They only raised $22 million. Here's these companies raising 100 million, run by men. Here's Modern Fertility, 22 million, sold for over 200 million. This is Elle, the tampon company. They've raised 10 million, sold for 100 million. It's you can't hardest investment decision you could ever make in your life.
Oh, I know. I know. Yeah. So Belly right now, we're going out to raise a Series A, but I've 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 built this business to a multi-million-dollar run rate with a very, very small investment. We're profitable. And I look at it and I see the stories that are written every day about everybody raising these huge rounds,
Yeah.
but they don't really have a model and they don't really have anything. And I'm like, I've built a multi-million dollar company with a very, very small investment. I'm profitable. You should see all my numbers, my LTV, my CAC, da da da. And my investor, of course, loves it. And he's like, oh my gosh. And I've been lucky enough to have the right people, right, on
Yeah.
that investment side. But the thing that gets press is not the people who are doing well and building real companies that have a real long runway. It's just it
It's
seems like your
Clubhouse.
mark of successful is how much money you raise, not exactly
Yeah.
what your business is.
Oh my gosh, Joni, we're gonna be friends, by the way. I'm coming out to Seattle. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna we're gonna hang out.
Please.
Because I keep tweeting like, hey y'all, has Clubhouse figured out how to make revenue yet? Like everyone's like, Clubhouse is the unicorn of the year. And I'm like, I don't think they made any money yet. Can somebody correct me if I'm wrong? But like there's no business model yet, right? Like,
Right.
but we're excited. Okay, got it. Cool. I'm gonna go work on, with companies like Lioness, a smart sex toy that has been never raised a dime and they're profitable and they're a hardware software company. It's like that's called hustling and grit. And anyways, yeah, Joni, wow. So I mean, y'all, if you're listening, start that Femtech company, invest in that Femtech company, get on board, tell everybody, like, this is really where it's at. It's like the world's best kept secret. I think Hologic is the #1 acquirer of Femtech companies. I think that they've been keeping this a good secret and they're making a lot of money off of it for the last 28 years. And now it's time for us to democratize that and, increase the wealth of women. And then let us be the new investors so we can stop the whole dancing on stage act, right?
We are going to be best friends. I can just feel it right now. You just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right? And I think the more we come together and our voices become louder, and you're right, it's successful. It is successful. Women-founded businesses are successful.
Yep.
And people do realize that. Maybe it's their own little secret because they're getting some good returns on that.
Yep.
But you're right. The cycle of empowering women, right? Investing in women, getting those returns, and then feeding back into that will change the world. It will. That's right. But we have to become together. We have to have, like what you're doing is giving us the platform to tell our stories, to come together. And I thank you for what you're doing as well.
Well, Joni, this has been so amazing. I think you have a special promo code for our listeners.
I do. Yes. If you want to try our prenatal vitamins, you can go to BeliBaby, BeliBaby.com and use the code Femtech15 for 15% off. We'd love to have you try it. Yeah. Become part of the Beli family.
Y'all. Let us know how it is. Go Beli. All right, Joni, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.